Welcome, everybody. Hello, chess fans. We're back here closing out 2019 at the world-renowned St. Louis Chess Club for a very special and crazy, wacky edition of, well, the first ever GM Showdown. Hello, my name is Ben Simon, and I'm joined alongside Grandmaster Josh Friedel. Has no idea what he's doing here. Josh, welcome to the show.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, let's tell you what we're doing here today. A few months ago, we debuted Mike Kummer's deranged new time control known as Intense Chess. You remember the old UFC? 8 people go in, 1 comes out. Well, that's what this was. It was an 8-person single elimination knockout, game in 1 minute with a 10-second delay. And that's what we're doing here tonight, but the field is a little bit stronger. And by a little bit, I mean a lot, Josh.
A lot stronger, huh? But meanwhile, they have to play Mike Kummer's deranged time control while looking at Mike Kummer with his crazy mohawk the whole time. And that, to me, is actually the greatest challenge of this format. That not only do you have to play this wacky time control, you also have to see Mike Kummer in his suit and with his wacky mohawk the whole time.
It's a blonde mohawk, indeed.
They might as well be amateur players going at it.
This is going to be one heck of an event. And if you haven't seen Mike Kummer with his blonde mohawk, get ready. You're about to, because he's the tournament director for this match. Now let's get to the players in this match. There's only 2. It's all for pride, okay? So technically this is an exhibition, but it's all for pride. 2 veterans of the St. Louis Chess Club, 2 SLU students, St. Louis University, separated by several years in age and experience. This is going to be a lot of fun. First of all, we have Grandmaster Alex Ipatov, who should get top billing, in my opinion, in this match.
He doesn't. Like
he's not, no. He is getting the B side on this screen. That's for sure. He's representing Turkey currently, but he's represented 2 other countries. Of course, he was born in Lviv, Ukraine. He played for Ukraine up until 2009.
Is that Lvov? Or Lviv? One of the 2.
People pronounce it differently. My source says Lviv. Anyway.
Lviv?
Yeah, something like that.
What on earth?
He played for Spain until 2012, and then he was working closely with the head of the National Federation of Turkey. He said, okay, well, let's play for Turkey starting in 2012. Alex Ipatov is the higher seed in this event with a 2631 classical FIDE rating, a 2587 universal rating, and a 2584 FIDE rapid. And that's what today is, rapid, so we're going to be looking at the FIDE rapids probably.
Rapid.
This is the craziest rapid you've ever heard of.
And I like how you just introduced one player. Now
I wasn't done. I wasn't done. Let's get to our...
Well, that's what happens when you spend 10 minutes on one player and the other guy just gets overlooked.
Oh my gosh, let's get to our A side. JJ Ali Marandi. His name is Cemil John Ali Marandi because the C's in his name, his full name, are pronounced like J's in Turkish. So he's Grandmaster JJ Ali Marandi. That's what he goes by, 21 years old. He's an undergrad at SLU, 2553 FIDE Rapid. Now, we're going to be talking about a lot of the different facets of these players. I've been talking to them all day today in preparation for this match, but we're going to have 4 games. We're going to have 4 games, game in 1 minute with a 10-second delay. So you're going to have time. It's a rapid time control, okay, by the rule book. But these are unrated games. This is an exhibition only. So we are just about time to go to the battleground. I know that the players must be getting antsy over there across the hall, Josh. What would you be thinking right now if you were about to engage in this heck of a matchup?
I've been thinking, man, what kind of time control is this?
They seemed confused when they walked in. I wonder if they had
I think they're
briefed.
confused. I think that they're, like, I can tell you these guys are, they're college students, and they really are college students. They're studying. They're focused on studies. They just finished midterms. They both want to relax, chill. But instead, they have to play this match.
Yeah.
Which means that but at the same time, they're competitive guys. They're going to want to try to win. So I think we'll see some entertaining games. I don't know how clean they'll be, but for us, it doesn't matter. If they make mistakes, it's fine. If they don't, that's also fine.
It should be a lot of fun. And we've got our friend Nick Risco in the other room. He'll be taking down the moves so we can maybe do some analysis along the way. But as I await word when Mike Kummer has got the players seated and ready in the other room, we'll be ready to go. But, I hear we are ready. So let's go to our tournament director, the most exciting man in all of chess, Michael J. Kummer.
One and all to this intense chess spectacular. All right, welcome one and all to this intense chess spectacular. We are so honored to be greeted by JJ Ali Marandi, 3-time world champion of the Pro Chess League, Archbishops of St. Louis. His challenger today, 2012 world junior champion Alexander Ipatov. Intense chess, it's a game like no other, created by myself and club manager Jonathan Trantz. You get 1 minute base time and then a 10-second delay. So pace yourself, it's gonna be intense. You may begin.
Oh my goodness, they're starting.
And we are off to the races. The players have been briefed and introduced in only the championship fashion that Mike Kummer can give. And, well, we have Ipatov with the white pieces. What's going on here, Josh?
So he spent like 10 seconds. He spent all his 10 seconds. But note how, like normally in a blitz game, if you spend 10 seconds on move 2, you're kind of an idiot. But he's not, because he didn't lose any time, as you'll notice. But Ipatov, Ipatov, whatever
Ipatov,
Mike Kummer decided to say. Of course, it's Ipatov.
Ipatov.
So, Ipatov. So he likes to play kind of out there, outlandish stuff. When he played against me, he also played some pretty crazy stuff, and that was in a classical game. So there's no doubt. But b4 is relatively normal. b4, bishop b2. h4 is a little weird, but hey, you know. But okay, so far it doesn't look like anything crazy has happened. Probably he'll try to play with like c4 at some point, develop his knight. Oh my goodness, there he goes. Now normally when people play the moves I suggest, nothing goes well for them. But we'll see if this is an exception. So I don't know, probably bishop e2, knight c3, a3, something like this. Yeah, so you have to watch out for knight e4 because the pin, but probably queen c2 doesn't do that much. So yeah, I don't know, this h4, h5 inclusion, I'm kind of tempted to say I like it for black because black's the one with the fianchetto bishop, so the king looks a little bit safer to my eyes. But at the same time, it's still, you know, anyone's game because it's hard for white to ever castle queenside with all those pawns up.
Now, these two players, they go way back. I mean,
They do.
at least 2011, and I was talking to them about the histories with each other earlier today, and it started in 2012 whenever Ipatov joined the Turkish national team, and they were on that together. They're very good friends. This is what JJ says. And JJ says that he hopes that their friendship can survive this match. He doesn't want any rules violations or disputes to come between them. So this is definitely a friendly match, unrated. There's nothing on the line here except the pride of saying, I beat you in intense chess.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pride with beating you in intense chess. Let's put it that way. Can't say I'm too crazy about what JJ just did. I liked putting the bishop on f5, nice and solid, keep queen out of c2. Here, because of the trades that have happened, now all of a sudden g4 is always in the air, which, at least to my mind, is slightly annoying. Probably black's still doing just fine, but I would have played it slightly differently. And you'll notice both guys have lost only a few seconds, although Ipatov is now ticking down. And keep in mind, you don't get that time back. So if he goes down to 30 seconds, that's half the time of your game lost. So if I were him, I would make a decision relatively fast. But he's trying to determine whether he can take on d5, take on d7. Moves like g4 don't quite work because you trade on e5 and then take. But it's kind of a weird situation. Like, he has to decide what to do. So he's just castling. So now taking on e5 is harder because after the recapture, d5 becomes weak. And again, he really wants to play g4. You can see it's on his mind. He's an aggressive-minded player. But the problem is when you castle and your pawn's on b4, your opponent can play a5. However, I don't know how easy it is for JJ to actually open up the game here. I guess we'll find out. But definitely we have an exciting position on our hands. Ipatov's down to 28 seconds and JJ still is over 50. So that's the one issue that Ipatov might have here.
The pacing of these games is so off-the-wall bonkers because, yeah, your brain's like, I have 1 minute, but that 10 seconds really does make a big difference here. This doesn't really play like a blitz game.
I would say it's between blitz and rapid. First of all, I would say it's a weird time control. However,
No.
yeah. But at the same time, yeah, it's between blitz and rapid. But I would say that, like in rapid, getting a position that's easy to play is sometimes more important than getting a good position. So if you're slightly worse, but you know exactly what you're doing and your opponent's play is less clear, that can be a big advantage because you can't take long thinks. So if you have a tough decision to make, it can be very tricky.
I'd like to say thanks for joining us in the chat, everyone. I know Patrick Daly is in helping us out with the rules. He knows all the rules of this. He's listening, so thanks for letting everybody know what's up, Patrick, and joining us as always. He's a fan of your commentary. And
wow.
he loves what you have to say about this format.
A fan of my commentary. He needs to stick around. There are not so many people who fit this description, so I'm happy Patrick's joining us here. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what's going on now. It's a weird position, and now I can't see it.
What do you make this body language here?
The body language? Ipatov's kind of amused. He's probably like, I'm playing some real garbage, but at least it's fun.
All right.
And JJ is more intense, but he's also amused, and he was very surprised by knight e4. And he shouldn't be, really, because it seems like a pretty normal idea. But he is also probably skeptical. Maybe knight c4 can come in. I don't know if I would have allowed knight e4 personally. I think that if JJ kind of moved his queen out, brought his rook to c8, I don't know. I don't trust white's king. Meanwhile, it takes quite a few moves to get at black's. So Ipatov sacked the exchange, which I thought he might. So he's down the exchange, but he has the juicy d6 square. I am not so convinced it's full compensation, but again, objective value of the position doesn't always matter. It matters how you can play it fast. And again, if that bishop lands on d6, the white king comes up the board, the black king's out of play on g8. This could be a practically difficult situation. And as you can see, JJ is thinking. His time is running because he's not sure what decision to make. Do I take that knight and allow a bishop to land on d6?
That's what just happened.
So I think that this is actually a little bit of an annoying situation for him because it's just not so easy to deal with that bishop. The king comes to c3, the rook goes to b1 to b4, and you're seeing this happen now. And again, like, what do you do as black? He can't play king f8, e8. So if I were him, I would have actually left the rook on d8 and maybe tried to move the f-pawn, so either f6 or f5, so I can get my king into the game. Because right now, his king is completely out of the game. The advantage he has is that it's not so easy for white to actually take anything. So yeah, he's going for f6 or f5 now, so his king can come in, I would imagine. Rook a7, covering the 7th rank, makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it's kind of a question of whether white can accomplish anything significant here or whether JJ is just going to be able to hold this position. Yeah, and f6 is kind of, it's a little double-edged also because you kind of free white's pawns. The pawns can start rolling a little bit, but it's not clear they're going anywhere too special. So I would imagine some move like rook d4 here. He decides to take the pawn off the board first. So maybe e4 he'll try. I don't know about the bishop check, because now king f5 is a real possibility. And I don't think he should have allowed that. He's going to be a little mad at himself for doing that. I would have played e4 first. Yeah.
So the king is
the active king
G4?
is, yeah, it's coming to g4. It's coming to maybe e4. And I don't think that he meant to allow that. In general, active kings in the endgame are annoying. But at the same time, the position's still unclear, because the pawn on e6 is still a slight weakness. I might even consider something silly looking like rook e8, give up c4, and then activate my king. But at the same time, so he's not even letting him do it. He's going to play e4 check. But again, still a very unclear position. g6 is weak, b6 is weak, and that c-pawn's pretty well blockaded. He'd love to play rook d7 to d3, but it's hard to get time for that. Maybe he can even try it now. Yeah, rook d7 might actually be an interesting option. But you even have to watch out for rook c6 sometimes. There he goes. So yeah. And the problem is if you try bishop d6 check, I play king d5. Your two pieces are attacked. So, he checks on d4. So now he's kind of wondering where to put the king. So now he has to watch out. Rook takes d4 and c3 could be quite nasty if he tries to take something. And he realizes this. That's why he goes back. So he might try to grab b6 at some point, but then JJ can attack the bishop and try to take the b-pawn. But I'd say that JJ has kind of gotten the position under control. The rook's kind of passive, the nice active king on g2. And I bet you Ipatov's wishing he played e4 earlier. So yeah, he's trying to be active. So if you take on d4 immediately, king takes c3, you can play rook back to e1 and c1. But if he ever tries to take a pawn, rook takes d4 might be extremely strong. He does it immediately, so maybe it still works. But I'm not sure. Yeah, it works because, of course, the king's on g2, right? So he's going to play c3, c2, and then just start taking pawns. So Ipatov's probably losing, because rook c6, you're not in time. I take, and then play c2, c1, and I prevent you from queening. Yeah, you're just winning, probably. The rook also very conveniently cuts the king off, so it can't go after b6. Also quite important. So he's going to try to play f5 on him probably. But I have my doubts that this will work. King f3, but rook c3 check. Yeah, it's over.
All right, and there's the handshake. JJ Ali Marandi strikes first. And, you know, as far as...
I think you were winning from... I don't know.
Danny, can I adjust the camera now?
It's interesting.
Oh, okay. We were hearing some talking there from the players. That's interesting. I like that board side microphone. I'm not going to say it was me who put it up, but, you know, whoever did was pretty awesome at doing that.
And let me guess, it was you, Ben Simon.
Anyway, so this is a best of 4 match. If you're just joining us, welcome. What took you so long? First to 2.5 wins, but all 4 games will be played. That's an important note we left out earlier. All 4 games will be played. And some of you have been brought here. I got to clear the air. On the YouTube channel, it says that there's arm wrestling if the match is tied. While that was originally the idea, it seems that there was some controversy in one of the players not being notified that was going to be the playoff procedure. So,
and why would you tell someone that they're going to arm wrestle? It doesn't seem like an important feature.
Yeah,
of
who
the
needs
match.
to know terms and conditions of tournaments?
I've been
and
asked to arm
matches?
wrestle many times to decide tie breaks at tournaments. I don't know what the problem could possibly be, but apparently it didn't end up working out.
No, the funny thing is, I talked to JJ today, and I said, JJ, we're going to have arm wrestling for the playoff. How do you feel about that?
And that's the best time to talk to him, the day of the
Right.
event.
In the journalist role.
The best time.
And he said, well, I just learned that this morning. We'll talk about that in just a moment here, because Mike Kummer has our winner, JJ Ali Marandi, for an interview.
All right.
All right, I'm here with the winner of Game 1, JJ Ali Marandi. So, was that your first ever intense chess victory?
Yeah, it actually was. It's my first time officially playing it, although I did get some training today before the event actually happened. Yeah, it's a very tricky time control. I don't know, I still ended up with 15 seconds, but the time just starts flying at some point. So, yeah, it's the first official one.
Right, yeah, when Alexander decided to castle long, were you a bit surprised by that? He thought for like half his time just thinking about that move. But do you think it was good, or you think, what are your thoughts about it?
No, I think it was a very double-edged decision. I think it was interesting at least. I shouldn't have allowed his knight e4 idea and sacrificing the exchange. I feel like the ending was a little better for him, but he blundered me taking on d4. So overall, the game was interesting. But yeah, the long castle decision slightly surprised me. I thought I had a good initiative, but didn't make it work. The game resulted in an endgame.
All right, well, winner of Game 1, you got the white pieces in Game 2. Things are looking up for you. Now back to the studio.
Thank you, Mike. The esteemed Mike Kummer, as always, with the winner of our first game. JJ's got to be feeling really good, you know. I always wondered the dynamics of that. Look, they're good friends. They train with each other. They're on the same on the same national team, on the same collegiate team, if I can talk. But of course, Ali Marandi is by rating, by strength, the weaker player, right? He's the B-side. So striking first blood in this crazy time control, it's got to mean something, Josh. What do you think?
I think it's a good thing. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't put too much on their ratings. First of all, we're playing Mike Kummer's absurd time control, so that already makes it weird. I know that Alex hasn't touched chess for several months, like not much anyway, maybe an occasional class. He's not studied. JJ, they've been focused on other things. So it's really about who's tactically more alert, honestly. Like who's kind of ready and who kind of adapts a little bit better. So I wouldn't put too much into the ratings. I would say that it would have been a toss-up. But getting a win with black in the first game, getting your at least the confidence, because you know that if you win with white, then your opponent has a huge mountain to climb.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's really a big thing to get a win for black in the first game. So.
Well, and like I was saying before that interview, the people wondering about the arm wrestling reference, I talked to JJ earlier today, and I said, JJ, you guys are going to be arm wrestling for the playoff, and how do you feel about that? And he says, I don't think it's fair. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know about it until this morning.
Well, my favorite part was where he was like, he said that Alex was, you know, has been arm wrestling for years, as in implying he's been like touring the country arm wrestling at professional competitions.
He's been to the smokiest of bars.
Which could be
just
true.
throwing
Which
people
could be
around.
true, but I doubt.
Right.
Most likely, it's just he lost. I think he lost to him at one time because they've roomed several times, and guys have nothing better to do. So they arm wrestle to dispute, like, you know, who gets the extra eclair or something. And then they do it, and he lost. So I think that loss was in his memory.
Right.
So he's really hoping to win it by chess, and this is a pretty good start.
Well, we're going to see whether he can win it by chess. Here's game number 2. The players are all set up. The colors have changed. Let's go back to the battleground.
Yeah, Win It by Chess is the name of my new book.
All right, it's game 2. Alexander, you may begin.
All right, here we go.
Oh, what a treat. I didn't know Kummer was going to talk again right there.
Yeah, uh-oh. Ipatov's continuing the tradition. He's fianchettoing his bishop for no reason.
So this game looks more normal, more recognizable to someone like me, Josh.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, H4, what do you know? So why is this more recognizable to you, Ben Simone?
Because the center pawn moved forward, not the b pawn, and the bishop is on f4.
So he's letting him play e4, because no one likes the center anyway. It makes sense to me. Why take the center when you can just fianchetto your bishops?
Is there ever an instance where these two
Well,
will...
A4, come on, guys.
They're okay.
What's wrong with these?
So they're playing wacky stuff in the wacky
Yeah.
time control. Are they hiding their best from each other or from the general
They're
public at
hiding their
large?
best from themselves, is what
okay.
they're doing, man. Hiding their best from themselves.
So we have Ipatov there with d6. Of course, Ipatov on the...
So JJ decides, oh, he puts a pawn in the second pawn in the center. Look at this. Ah, the hippo. We got the hippo going.
The hippo.
Yep, the hippo.
Is that a real name?
Yep, that's what this is called. Believe it or not, it was played against me in a U.S. championship
Who played it?
by none other than Timur Gurev.
Oh, 2013?
2014.
Oh.
And I will say that the opening didn't turn out well for him, but he made a comeback. But in the end, I was luckily able to win, so I didn't have to hide my head in shame. But in general, the hippo's tricky because you have to know kind of where to put your pieces. The problem for black is that you don't have too many improving moves. So if you're white, and the way I tried to play it against Gurev, I played nice and patient, which doesn't seem like that's what JJ is doing. But I played nice and patient, and eventually he ran out of improving moves. Because it's really hard to make a break for black if all your pieces are kind of stuck on the first two ranks.
Yeah, and that's quite well illustrated right there.
Yeah. So maybe he'll try knight h2, g4, try to play f4. Looks pretty reasonable.
Patrick Daly says, Josh sounds so exasperated. I think a part of him died inside when JJ played a4.
There's going to be nothing left by the end of this match. There's going to be nothing left. I'm going to be an empty shell. You might as well bury me in the backyard. So, knight h2 to g4. He's taking my advice once again. Oh my goodness, he played f5. And notice how he kind of did this with his hand. No one can see me, but it's fine.
It's like a cat.
Yeah, like
sassy
a cat.
paw.
Yeah, he's like, take it, f5. Look at me. I don't know. F3, the problem with playing moves like f5 is that now, for example, he didn't have any weaknesses. It's the one advantage of the opening of the hippo. Now he has a weakness on e6 he has to take care of. However, if JJ is playing f3, which is very lame, JJ, shame on you, it makes it so that it doesn't look like he's doing anything great. So I don't know. Ipatov's like, they're talking. I don't know what they're saying, but they look very amused.
I'm getting scared.
As they should be.
Oh, here we get to hear him a little
What
bit.
should I do?
I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know.
They're probably saying more interesting things than I am, that's for sure. I have to say I'm not super impressed by JJ's opening play. That knight on h2
Let's
is
go.
quite lame after something like f5. Like, if you're going to play knight h2, you have to break apart the position. Like, you can't let him play f5 and just leave your knight there.
Yeah, you heard Alex say, let's go, and slam down b5 there.
Well, I have to say, b5 looks like a pretty decent move to me. This looks very dangerous for white. I would say that black's already better, significantly maybe. Rook a1 check. Now the e4 pawn is weak. He can probably grab it. And basically, black has a free attack. You can play queen a8 to a2. Looks really nasty. There are so many things you can do. He just plays knight b6. He doesn't even want the pawn. And honestly, like, the way JJ played this, because now you notice how he played a4. The general rule in the hippo is that you want to keep control over one side and play on the other. What JJ did, he tried to play on both sides. And when you try to play on both sides, you regret it. Notice if his pawn weren't on a4, black wouldn't have this attack.
Okay.
So JJ trying to castle with the pawn on a4 just was a really poor idea. So now he's sacrificing in desperation. Taking on g5 is a desperate move, but at the same time, he probably hates his position. And you can tell Ipatov doesn't believe it. He's like, whatever, JJ. Whatever you say. It was kind of the way JJ reacted when they told him he was going to arm wrestle. He's like, whatever, man.
Well, it was a little bit strongly worded than that. He said he didn't want to do... I learned some interesting things about the organization of this here match. Ipatov, I asked him about the arm wrestling, and he says, I don't know how I feel. I feel fine. Yep. We arm wrestled 6 years ago.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ben,
yes,
but Ipatov just played a really cool idea, which is that he plays knight d5, so if queen takes d8, he doesn't recapture, he plays bishop h6 check, and that king has nowhere to go. You have to play rook d2. Ugly, ugly move. And then you can recapture the queen. I don't think it was necessary to do this. I think he could have played knight c6 and had accomplished a similar thing. But knight d5 is kind of a cool idea. So he does force JJ to bring his queen back. Again, I think it was unnecessary to put the knight on d5, but it's a cool idea that you have bishop h6 check as an intermezzo.
You got to direct your attention to the clock here for a moment. JJ's down to just 2 seconds left.
Yeah, I think he's going to be toast this game. Toast. Yeah, takes and knight f4 looks pretty good. I can't imagine JJ surviving this. Keep in mind, he's down a piece for this. It's not like he's up material.
Right.
But takes and knight f4 is hard to argue with, in my view. And is that what he's going to do? He's rapping on the table. Oh, he goes back to f6. Retreat. Psh, psh, whatever. All right, so h6. Yeah, see, now he's allowing counterplay. Like, why? Queen g5 check. Oh, he's giving up his bishop. Oh, my goodness, look at this. Taking the queen, taking the rook.
A legal promotion.
Wow, he promoted legally. That's like the biggest upset in the match. No one promotes legally, especially GMs.
Well, they know Mike Kummer's there, so.
That's true. You gotta keep it legal. Now it's kind of weird. Like, I still really like black, but now it's some kind of weird piece in balance where he has a rook and knight for a queen. So I don't know. And he has a pawn for it as well. So technically he's not even down anymore. And I'd say black's king is a little open. So I can't say I'm a fan of what Ipatov did. I like knight f4, keep a good position, stay up a piece, not allow h6. But no one likes my moves. Yeah, knight f3. So now the problem is that if you try to take this
there's
knight,
the flag. It's over.
JJ
2
lost
black
on
wins
time.
to start.
Oh my goodness, he just showed knight d5,
But
knight
I don't know
d4,
why
knight
it took me
h6,
so
as if
long.
he's going to get 3 moves in a row.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
Knight d5 was a fun move.
Apparently he thinks it's 3 moves.
Oh, yeah, I
you know,
missed
the one you
bishop
get to play 3 moves in a row.
Yeah,
but you
like
start
takes,
off-
checks. Yep, you get it. Maybe knight
No,
g6.
that's 2 move checks. Never mind.
Well, we now that we're midway through the match,
Yeah.
with it tied 1-1,
Yeah.
there's a few things we got to clear up. First of all, let's put a fork in it. There's not going to be any arm wrestling playoff. I'm very sorry.
That's the worst thing to put a fork in, right there.
Now you can all leave, right? No, if in the event, I believe the last word, what I have gotten, the players and the organizer Tony Chen and director Mike Kummer have come to the agreement that if it's 2-2, then the match is tied. You know, it's a friendly, but it's a friendly that I feel like these guys they're playing like sillier, but they don't want to lose something like this. I mean,
I don't know. This game I thought they wanted to lose was my impression of this game. However,
well, hey, I think do we have the game in here yet? We might be able to take a look at it.
Yeah. So like where I was, so the opening. So this is kind of where I don't like this idea of. I don't like this.
Maybe something went wrong. Oh well. Oh, the scores. Okay, the score is 1-1.
The score is
All right.
1-1.
All
Okay.
right, ignore that.
Yeah. So this kind of position, I would say, like, I don't like to play h5 too early. I would rather. First of all, playing on both sides of the board is a little bit of a no-no. But honestly, like, I would try to improve my pieces first. So, for example, I think this bishop belongs here. You can maneuver the knight, play c3. That's kind of a nice setup usually. Again, even putting the bishop on c4 is fine. But basically, like, these pieces don't really belong, so I kind of like playing slow and basically taking advantage of the fact that black can't really do that much. But playing this way is maybe doable. But yeah, against something like f5, I think you have to be more ambitious here. Because if you just play f3, you have a terrible knight on h2, and black kind of has what they want. So I was thinking even moves like bishop c4, trying to target this pawn. Even capturing this pawn is not terrible. You can think about moves like d5, with the idea that you're trying to undermine and, again, take advantage of this weak e6 pawn. And if black plays a move like e5, now when you take, you're kind of happy because you have this nice square for the knight on g4. You can try to take over the light squares.
Josh, I just got word that we have Alex Ipatov ready for his interview after his victory in Game 2.
Well, let's see what he has to say.
That was definitely an intense chess game of the ages right there. So what were you thinking? So he sacrifices on the G file, right? And then you come up with this amazing knight move?
Was it a good move? I'm not sure. It was just to surprise him. He had little time, so I just wanted to make him think.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was going to go for the checkmate with h6 and queen takes g7, and then he's got to retreat his queen all the way to d2, and then you're thinking, and what was going through your mind? I mean, was it?
I felt like I was better, but I thought knight d5 was not necessary. Maybe knight c6 was better because I would preserve my piece. But I played knight d5 to give him a choice to take on d8 or go back, because by taking on d8 he can win my piece, right? Take my queen, I take the queen back, ed5, but then I had bishop h6 idea, and I'm pinning him on the h6 c1 diagonal.
Oh, gotcha. So that was a great game. You got the big check in there on a1, and then you had ideas of checkmating him or checking on the a2.
Well, yes, bring my knight to b4 and then to a2 as well. Yeah.
And then win the game.
Right. I had to play ambitious after losing the first game for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's all tied up 1-1. We're going into halftime, and we'll see what happens in game 3.
Thank you.
All right, well, there he is, evening the score, Grandmaster Alex Ipatov. We're going to take a short break here in just a moment. Before we do that, what are your thoughts so far on this game, or on these games? Is it unexpected? Is it better or worse than you thought?
Not really. I mean, Ipatov likes to play provocatively. He likes to play this kind of chess, and sometimes it goes well, like in the second game. Sometimes it goes poorly, like in the first game. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see. But I felt like the first game was fairly close. Even though he lost an exchange, he clearly got a lot of compensation for that exchange. I should say he sacked it. But he got outplayed in the endgame. JJ got his king up and then played very well, in my opinion. The second game, I think JJ played below his standard. Like, he kind of got thrown by the hippo. So this will only encourage Ipatov to play more aggressively, because he clearly got thrown by the opening, and Ipatov got such a beautiful position. Like, after he castled queenside in particular, which in my mind was a little strange, and then b5, already he took over. So I think that Ipatov will only play more aggressive from now on, and JJ will have to respond. Will he play like he did in the first game or like the second game?
Well, we will have to wait and see what happens here. Like I said, we are going on a very short break. We will be back shortly. Don't go too far beyond that refrigerator, because we've got some more intense chess coming up in just a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, guys. What an exciting day of chess. Now take a look. I have something really interesting I want to show you. Seems pretty innocuous, right? But actually, White's threatening to play e5. It's okay, Black's no slouch. He sees the threat and counters it by playing e5 himself. Yet White is relentless, attacking e5 with the knight. Black defends with his knight. In stronger games. But in this game, d6 was played, to which the amazing response d4 was played. How can Black even want to continue here? Maybe bishop g4. But Black says no, no. Or White says no, no. White says that's a dumb idea. Bishop g4 is so stupid. And I would show you the line, but I know all our viewers at home can see it, calculate it easily without me having to move the pieces. That after de, queen d8, king d8, knight e5 wins the pawn. Black sees this, refuses to fall for White's tricks. And White says, I'm going to checkmate you, buddy. Black says, no, I like to develop and stop checkmates. White says, I'm going to redouble the attack on f7 with queen b3. Looks like Black's in quite a pickle here, wouldn't you say? Queen d7 won't do it, so he plays queen e7, threatening to play queen b4 check if queen b7 comes on the board, trading off the queens and taking the steam out of White's attack. White, of course, just plays normal chess, starts developing. Black plays c6 to keep that knight off of d5 and b5. The golden rules are being followed, folks. This is exciting stuff. This is exciting stuff. Which side will White castle on? Nobody knows. Black thinks that bishop is really annoying, so he tries to get rid of it. But does White have a surprise for him? As Jonathan Schrantz likes to say, "Wow! I'll take those pawns and get a winning, unstoppable attack." What do you have to say about that, black pieces? Not king d8, because castle's long. Leads into a quick forced win for white. And the rest just explains itself, doesn't it, folks? I'm attacking your pinned piece. You have to defend it. And my position's so strong and so few of your pieces are in play that I can just sacrifice all my stuff, just throw it away, and checkmate you. But what if you try and trade off my strongest attacking piece? Will I fall for it and take here? No, sir. No, I will not. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Dennis LaRue, as always. Welcome back to the show. Ben Simon here with Grandmaster Josh Friedel. We are midway through the intense chess match of the year.
Of the year?
It's the only one. GM Showdown, Ipatov versus Ali Marandi. And we're about to start game number 3. So I understand that we are ready to go back to our battleground with our chief warlord, Mike Kummer.
It's a good name for him, Chief Warlord.
All right, game 3. It's all tied up. 1-1. You may begin.
Ipatov has the white pieces here. And the clock's ticking. But then again, it's not. 10-second delay, 1 minute with a 10-second delay. If you're just joining us, what a great time to join us. We basically have what's turned into a best-of-2 matchup here. Josh, what do you make of the opening so far?
So it seems like JJ is going to counter Ipatov by playing kind of slightly offbeat stuff himself. And it looked like they were talking some smack, and then he slammed down 1d4 as if it was a novelty.
And here's h4.
I think every game they've designated they have to play h4 really early.
Is this some kind of, this is not any theory of any sort, right, Josh?
No.
h4, okay.
I mean, well, g6, bishop g7, e6 is not normal theory either.
Right.
But h4 in a position like this is not ridiculous. But basically, I think JJ is going to play the hippo because he realized how strong it was in the last game when he was busted out of the opening. So he's like, why don't I play it myself? And maybe his strategy is genius because he's going to see how to refute it from Ipatov. d5, though, is not very hippo-ish, I would say.
Why do they call it the hippo?
I don't know. It's like shaped like this. Some weird thing. See, I keep doing stuff with my hands, then I realize you guys are looking at the board. So my apologies. But it's better off you don't see it anyway. So, yeah, knight f3, he's just going to play e3 next. Now, you have to be careful, because you play d5 rather than d6, that bishop on f4 is much better placed. Oh my goodness, JJ is taking on c4. What a lunatic. Nah, it's normal enough. But still, like, if Ipatov plays, he could play e4 or e3 and take back that pawn. I would say that black's opening is dubious at best. Because keep in mind, he can't castle so easily because that h6 pawn is going to hang then. And you do not want to lose the h6 pawn with h5 coming.
Right.
So I have no idea what JJ is thinking. I think that he's going to have some problems. I think maybe he'll try knight c6, but then you have to worry about knight b5 all the time. So yeah, he's trying to play a6 first, which makes sense. But now he can simply take on b5. And at least personally, I would not be too envious of his position. So yeah, I mean, this looks very nice for white. Not completely over or anything like this, but definitely Ipatov is very happy with his opening. And you can tell by the confidence with which he's moving. Although he always moves like that, so maybe not. Yeah, so I don't know. I would go back to b3. Looks fine. But he can really do whatever he wants. e2. Lame. No, it's fine also. Yeah. The reason I like b3 is because then you can think about playing d5 in situations like this and immediately breaking apart the pawns a little bit. Whereas now with the bishop on e2, it's like, e4, I'd like to kind of defend because there's b4. So he just plays very simply. He just plays a3 to prevent b4. JJ, again, cannot castle, which is really annoying. So probably he plays knight d7 here. You could think about trying knight f6 to try to put pressure on the pawn. Again, if you can force him to play e5 or some unpleasant move, it could be nice. But really, he has to find a way to get castled. Sometimes in the hippo, you have to play the extremely embarrassing king f8 to g8 to h6 to get castled. Which
Okay, and then slide the rook underneath it.
Yeah, which needless to say, at least I'd be embarrassed to play this way, but that's the way they roll, you know? I am not amongst hippo players. I am a more classicist. I'm a classicist myself, even when I play bullet. So, even in bullet, I won't play these openings.
A classicist.
Yes.
Okay.
Classical player.
Aha, okay.
When I'm not playing like a lunatic. But anyway, so yeah, here, now he has to be careful. Like, I don't know if takes c5 and queen e3, or takes c5 and takes d8. Like, it all looks a little suspicious for black, but at the same time, I definitely kind of, yeah, queen e3. And now you have to deal with this knight being attacked as well as the queen. So queen b6 looks nice, but then your knight's a bit pinned up, and moves like rook d6 look annoying, bishop d6. Yeah, queen c8 is a little bit awkward, I would say. And once again, bishop d6 looks super annoying to me, because you attack the knight and you hit the knight on e7. And keep in mind, with all those pieces attacked, you're not going to get castled. So I think Ipatov's looking for that knockout. He plays bishop e5. I didn't like that one as much. But it's also definitely very possible. Keep in mind also, you can sack on b5 occasionally and try to go at that king on e8. Yeah, bishop e5, he allowed him to castle. Oh, did he trick him? I don't know if he tricked him, though, because if bishop d6, maybe he takes on c3 or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe he tricked him. But at the same time, bishop e5 was a little bit strange. They're laughing, so it could be he just missed it, right?
That's probably the case.
Yeah. He's like putting his hands up like, huh, didn't think of that. But yeah, this is quite nasty, because now both knights are attacked. Taking on c3 is possible, but after b takes, yeah, Ipatov doesn't believe this for 1 second. But the thing now is if knight takes e4, knight f5 might be annoying. So now he has to consider, do I take the knight on e7? Because then knight takes c3, black at least gets a couple pawns. Maybe he can take on e7, take c3, take f8, just take everything. Just be like, rah, rah, rah. That's what he's doing. Oh, no, he recaptured. Oh, how boring. Yeah, so JJ gets a couple pawns at least for his piece. Usually 2 pawns for a piece is not enough. I would say, like, if he has to play king f1, it's slightly annoying. But the nice thing he has going for him is if he needs to get the rook into the play via h3, he can. I would have maybe just taken on c3. I don't think king f1 makes any sense. Like, because now if takes d4, f takes, I guess then he has king f2. It's all.
What would you? I'm sorry. What would you have played instead of king f1?
Maybe just take the queen and play king f1. And then you can play rook h3 and move your knight and get in this way. Looked a little bit more natural, but I don't know. So yeah, JJ is going for the endgame. Almost certainly 2 pawns not enough for a piece, but at the same time, when you're playing blitz chess or whatever, this random amalgamation that Mike Kummer decided to put together.
Well, by the rule book, it would be rapid, right?
It would be rapid.
Yes.
It does play a little bit more like rapid, but it's pretty fast for rapid. I would say that it definitely has a lot of blitz qualities. Yeah, I mean, I think that Ipatov should have pretty good winning chances here. I mean, the piece is a lot, but at the same time, JJ is trying to create counterplay. He's got the rook on the second. b4 you have to watch out for now. I'm not exactly sure what I would do here as white. Rook d2 looks kind of nice, but then the problem is you have to worry about takes and rook d8 and skewers and pins and forks and knives and spoons. It's just not good. So, yeah. So he plays knight e1, which is not a pretty move, but he wants to kind of shoo the rook away.
And now Ipatov leaning forward more than at any other time in this match.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because then we can't see. But
yeah, what's he doing?
But okay, knight e1. So I'm assuming rook a2 is coming, so he can still keep the threat of b4. Because if he gets the b pawn to create counterplay, it could be nice. He takes on e2 and then plays b4 check. So he's going for some kind of sacrifice to get the b pawn rolling. But he's down a whole rook now. And a whole rook, needless to say, Ben Simon, is a lot. But yeah, b3, I don't know. It seems like this shouldn't work. Like, for example, something like knight f3 and bishop e5. He chooses knight d3, which also is logical. I would have preferred f3, though, so this kind of rook d8 crap wouldn't annoy me. But keep in mind, these guys do not have that much time at this point, so they don't have a lot of time to think things through. I would definitely like knight f3, bishop e5. That looked kind of annoying to me. Trade off one of the bishops, then the compensation's pretty limited. Because he just has a b-pawn for this rook, basically. The extra pawn on the king side is fairly irrelevant. But what is relevant is it's 5 seconds to 7. So these guys got to move. So yeah, he trades a pair of rooks. So now he just has the 2 bishops and that b-pawn. So he needs that b-pawn to make a queen. However, it is a rook. So yeah, he's going to just sack for that pawn probably. But then it's only, if he sacks for the pawn, then he could have played knight c3 to b1. That would have actually ended it maybe. Or wait, no, he couldn't have. The bishop controls that square. My bad. Yeah, so now it's an exchange for a pawn. So now it's at least a little bit messy, I would say. But yeah, I don't know. I would say that black has pretty decent drawing chances now. And again, it's one of those things where, like, in a slow game, it might have been easy to win this, but when you don't have any time, it's so hard to play. So yeah, it's pretty tricky. Again, I would say he should try to trade the bishops. So an idea like bishop c5 to d4, I really like. I think if you exchange a pair of bishops, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to try to win. Because when the bishops control so many squares, it's just super annoying. So yeah, maybe bishop c5 now, or check on f8 first, take advantage of the fact the king has to go to h7. But he also doesn't have to rush. I think that these ideas will always be there.
Yeah, and look at the clock has been on 5 versus 7 seconds for a long time now because they have a big delay.
I would say positions like this, you should never think that much on one move because really there are no moves that are going to be...
Oh, it's taken 3, 2.
Man.
Oh, man.
So he trades on his own volition, which to me is a little bit strange. But at the same time, you can't avoid it, so it probably just doesn't matter. But yeah, this looks pretty tough to hold, I would say. Probably the rook goes to c5 at some point. I would have played the rook to c5 first, probably. But it may not matter too much. You can even play rook c5 here. It's very playable. But I don't know. h5 is kind of nice. Like it's double-edged a little because you have to worry about your g4 pawn, but the h6 pawn is also a little bit weak. But the main problem black has here is that bishop has to stay glued to the a pawn. Because if you allow white to get a past a pawn, you're going to lose. That pawn is going to just win the bishop. So it means that the bishop's glued to b3 while the rook can roam around the board. And now he pins back the king to g7. And the question only is whether he can make progress enough to win. So he has to watch out for sacrifices on the bishop too, by the way. So for example, if rook b8, you're threatening to take the bishop, play king d3, and you have a passed a pawn. So I would guess that this should be winning. So I think he maybe hasn't seen it yet. You know, again, when they have no time, it's hard. But I would say he should be aiming to sack for that bishop and play king d3. I think that's going to end the game. Because the bishop can't hold the a pawn.
Right.
He's playing for Zugzwang instead, which is also not terrible. But I think it's much easier just to, yeah. So attack the bishop and then rook b4. Just threaten to sack for it. That's what he's doing. And now. He doesn't even want it. Okay, he brings the king in. Good enough also, I'm sure. But he could have ended the game right now. I still don't know why he didn't sack on b3.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Josh. I mean, just...
Yeah, the outside a pawn is just way too strong, right? But again, like, these guys have no time. Like, we take it for granted that it's hard to see the whole board and get a sense for all that. So he's probably, like, sometimes what can happen is you get stuck on one idea. So he's going to go over and take the a pawn, so it's not going to matter. But sometimes you get stuck on one idea, and that can kind of ruin your position. So I think JJ should at least try f5 at some point. Just there's no way he's like a player of Ipatov's strength is going to miss this forever, right? So he's going to try taking on a4 now. Yeah, there we go. And this should be a fairly simple win, because there's just you don't have time to play for f6, right? The pawn's too fast.
Right.
Like, you can just take this, and you have an outside pass pawn, so you can bring your king in, you can just push your a pawn, pushing the a pawn simplest. So he's got to, okay, yeah. King goes back, and this should be over.
There it is. Alex Ipatov takes the lead, 2-1, getting rid of JJ's match-winning chances. So the best that JJ can do now is actually just tie the match. We have a drawn match.
But because he didn't want to arm wrestle, that he just loses the match. The match is over. Good
Yeah.
night, everyone.
Well, he was very professional with how he put it to me earlier. He said, "This is chess. Okay, this is a mental game. I don't think it's right that we put a physical aspect into it." Okay.
That sounds way too serious for a time control like this.
Right, and then I say, "How do you feel about this exhibition match?" And they're all like, "Oh, it's fun. Fun is the most important thing." Yet, we're negotiating here, like everything's on the line. And there's something inside them that probably thinks everything is on the line.
I hope
Pride. It's pride.
I guess so.
Kyle Neese was asking what's on the line. Yeah, Kyle, it's pride.
Pride. It's a lot to be on the line.
All right, let's go once again to Mike Kummer, who has the winner, Grandmaster Alex Ipatov.
All right, I'm here with the winner of Game 3, Alexander Ipatov. So, what were your thoughts on the game? I mean, with a base time of 1 minute, did you ever think it could last that long?
Yeah, I didn't expect the game to be that long. How long was it? Like 15 minutes?
It was a long one and a lot of moves too, huh, Nick Risco? Yeah. A lot of moves. But you got the win. What do you think the big turning point was?
Maybe my opponent played bishop f6. When he had two bishops, I think he had good chances to make it where his bishops were active, and I didn't see a breakthrough plan. But once he tried the dark squared bishops, it became easier to put pressure on his position. Maybe it's still a draw, but he traded one of his active pieces. I think that was a mistake.
All right, so going into Game 4, you've overcome your 0-1 deficit to take a 2-1 deficit. Do you like your chances in the last one?
Well, I'll be black in the last game, so I'm sure my opponent will put all his anger in the last game. So I will have to defend very well.
All right, yeah. If not, it goes to tiebreakers. Who knows what that's gonna be? Back to the studio.
They give me an official word, I say it, and now Mike Kummer's stirring the pot again, talking about a potential tiebreaker. I'll tell you what.
My goodness.
No, who knows what's going to go on over there. But right now, officially, if it's 2-2, we're going to call the match a tie. I don't know if they want to have a foot race, they're going to have a foot race. They want to play checkers, that's fine.
I don't think we should call it because I think that it can change at a moment's notice.
It really...
But considering these guys have to actually agree on the tiebreak, it'll probably be the tiebreak will be in like 2 years. They'll decide on a tiebreak format, and we'll come back here. We'll be right back here to tell you how it works.
I'm sure that's how it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
I asked Alex earlier today, what do you make of this this match here with this crazy time control? And he said, well, this time control, it favors JJ. I think, if anything, if we were competing in a classical matchup, people might favor me more. But with this shorter time control, it's the chaos, basically. I'm paraphrasing here. The chaos is allowing JJ to be on a more level playing field. And we might see that. We might see JJ come back. Who knows?
I think it's quite possible. Again, it's one game, and it's, as you can see, the games can go back and forth pretty wildly.
Right.
So, and JJ gets white. I don't know how much color even matters, but I would say that, especially if Ipatov's committed to playing Hippo again, we could see another decisive result quite easily.
Will we see a decisive result? Will we see the Hippo? Well, let's find out. It's game number 4. Let's go to the battlefield with Mike Kummer.
All right, welcome to game number 4. Ipatov is up 2-1, and you may begin.
Basically everywhere but my ear. And we're off to the races. JJ finishing up this campaign as white.
I like how every first move... Oh, my goodness. This is a good way to try to draw. E6, G5. This is trying to play for a draw. Don't try this at home, folks. So yeah, this pawn on G5 is sorely, kind of like a sore thumb. You just always got to nurse it the rest of the game. You have to worry about H4 ideas. You have to worry about F4 ideas. He's not even putting a knight on F6. He's just like, whatever. So, he resigned already. Game over. No, just kidding. So he knocked over his king, but as you guys should know, that is not resignation immediately. So yeah, I would say that JJ is probably going to just do a nice solid setup, put his knight on E2. Maybe knight G3 to H5 could be annoying here. So he's preventing it, actually, by attacking the D4 pawn. So I don't know what JJ is going to try to choose here. Again, I think simply castling is perfectly fine. G3, trying to play with H4 or F4 also looks quite reasonable. Again, it's one of those things where, is Black's setup lost or anything like that? Not necessarily, but I would say that he's king and his position can come under threat much more easily. So JJ's castling queenside. He's committed to playing with H4. So Ipatov is understandably trying to stir the pot on the queenside. So yeah, it gets in b5, b4. But I'm not so sure this does that much. I might have chosen a4 as a square because I think it's likely black's going to want to move that d pawn. And now you can run the pawns up the board. So I don't know if I would have chosen b1, but again, may not matter too much. So JJ's advancing his pawns on the queen side. He gets in f5. I don't know if f5 would have been my choice. I kind of like targeting the g pawn, which is kind of weak, but it's probably also is not so bad. Knight to d5. So I'm kind of curious how pins work, like either bishop e4 or bishop e5. It seems like black's going to hold on either way. I also like the idea of playing knight g3 and trying to put that knight on h5. The knight on h5 looks like a real pest to try to deal with. And sure enough, that's what he's trying to do, bishop e4, knight g3. And the problem is that if for black to castle is really kind of annoying, and if you don't castle, you're still going to be under threat. So I don't know. I think JJ should have a pretty good position. But as we've seen, it's never that easy. The main problem is it just takes too many moves for black to create queenside threats. Even with your pawns as far as up as they are, knight h5 is coming awfully fast. So Ipatov takes this bishop and plays d5. So he's changing the nature of the position a little bit. But I would say that he's not really solving the knight h5 problem. So even if JJ simply retreats, I'm not exactly sure that he has that much counterplay. He plays knight h5 first. So JJ trying to play super aggressive. The idea being that if you try to castling now or defending the bishop, f6 you have to worry about, which is quite nasty. So this is a really nice idea by JJ. And I believe Ipatov's idea was to at least take the bishop so at least h4 carries less sting. So yeah, he's going to have to trade these pieces now. But after knight takes g7 check and knight back to h5, it looks at the very least kind of unpleasant. But maybe he'll get some counterplay here. I'm not exactly sure. Because the thing is, like with the knight on h5, it takes at least a few moves. So if black can get some kind of queenside play going, he could have some chances. Because even though eventually you will lose on the king side, it may take a few moves. So bishop b7, and JJ plays d5. So JJ wants queen d4 and putting pressure on black's queenside. This is a really nice idea, I think. Ipatov may have actually considered playing knight d5, giving up the e-pawn just to prevent this move. I'm sure he missed it. So now knight takes d5, queen d4 I'm assuming is coming. And again, maybe he can kind of survive for a few moves by playing rook g8 or rook h7, but it's ugly survival. But there are some tricks. For example, if queen d4, rook moves knight d2, with the idea of knight takes e4, it looks great. Then you have to contend with knight f4, the idea being that if you try, you have time to trade the queens with check, but you have to watch out for knight e2 mate in the air. And it looks like, he played f6, so c5. What on earth is happening?
Well, he just gave him a free pawn? Is that right?
Queen e7, knight takes e4. I mean, he's giving away his house is what he's doing. No, this was not expected. I thought he would try some knight f4 idea, but I think he wasn't able to do it. I guess there was queen c5 check as well. So queen c5 check, queen e7. But I don't know why he played f6. It seemed like that gave JJ extra time, and he already had a lot of time. But it could be that Ipatov's position was just bad. This, I think, is lost because knight c5 check is coming, knight 6 f6 check is coming. If you move the king, knight d6, his whole position's just falling apart. This is a very strange choice in a must-draw game.
Alex, was he careless here?
I think his position... The fact is, when you play like this, sometimes your position is just so hard to hang on to that even if you're not careless,
that's over.
He just gave it.
Wow, okay. So the match is tied 2-2. Let's well, I was wondering what the players are saying at the board, like, hey, it happened. Of course, we have a 2-2 tie.
Yep.
What now? I'm awaiting we'll be awaiting Mike Kummer's word. Maybe he'll be talking with the players here, who knows.
Getting their arms ready.
Yeah, the official decision. I've been told there's not going to be any arm wrestling. There just won't be. There just won't be, Josh. I'm telling you.
That's pretty severe. I didn't know you were so adamant about it.
Danny Machuca in my ear telling me that I don't even want to believe it, Danny. I don't want to believe it.
Oh my goodness.
A coin flip tiebreak.
What does that even mean?
Come on. They're going to flip a coin. What is this? There's a reason why the 2018 Sinquefield Cup was called a three-way tie. Okay, if all the players don't, if the coin flip is basically our only option out of this, let's just call it a tie, right? You know, I'll believe it when I see it. And if they're flipping a coin, I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see if the coin has two sides to it.
Yeah, let's see what's going on here. But anyway, so the match was tied, the first ever intense chess match called the GM Showdown. Are you, I mean, the results, we were talking about how this time control kind of levels the playing field. It's not really
random, yeah.
surprising. I mean, it's not surprising.
I would say, like, you know, the greater practical players will do well because they're not trying to be perfectionists. They're just trying to play kind of quickly. And I would say that it was obvious that Ipatov was choosing kind of crazy lines. Like, if they were playing for serious money, he's not going to play e6, g5. But at the same time, it's fun to watch. And I think that the players are not taking it seriously enough that they're going to like be going hardcore in a time control like this. But I would say that it was obvious that JJ was playing a little more normally and Ipatov was playing out there. But as we saw, they tied the match, right? So, you know.
Well, let's see what JJ has to say. He's standing by with Mike Kummer.
Sitting by was correct.
I'm back with the winner of Game 4, JJ Ali Marandi. So that was a pretty big knockout you had there, and you followed my advice. You knew it. Never play f6, and Ipatov silently did, and you took advantage. Did you know you had the win when he played that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, if you're playing the black pieces and you play f6, clearly there's something wrong in your position, and you should try to avoid it at all costs. And I took your advice, and also, yeah.
And you didn't play f6 as the white pieces either. So
generally, if you can play with white f6, that means you already advanced a little too much. So it might be a good move. Today we were discussing if f6 is possible with white. It might be good.
Cool. So you wanted, as the tie break, to arm wrestle for the victory. So are you an experienced arm wrestler?
No, I actually never arm wrestled in my life.
So that would have been a first for Ipatov as well, I guess. Instead, we're going to have a very unconventional tie break, a coin flip. So stay tuned. Get your wagers in. Who's got heads? Who's got tails? We'll see when we come back.
That's terrible.
Josh, what's going on here?
I would say, though, it is fitting the time control. Given they have to play this time control, it feels like a coin flip anyway. So might as well just flip one. But I still hate this idea. It's pretty terrible.
This is horrible.
Whoever thought of this, shame on you.
This is horrible.
Horrible.
I want to take this opportunity
I'm going to file a protest. I need a protest number. Where do I file a protest for this?
Well, I think I have your individuals, because right now we want to thank our very special match organizers, Tony Chen and Danny Machuca. Thank you for all.
So those are the guys who came up with the coin flip
I'm
idea?
thanking them. I'm thanking them, Josh. Okay, come on now.
All right.
If you have any questions in the chat, hit us up. We are checking it. Shout out to Kyle Neese in the chat. Appreciate you watching. Probably right here at the Chess Club. Also, these players, they're men about town. They are on the internet. They're
Yep, they dress in suits all the time.
before I put,
they go to cocktail parties. You can't miss them.
Before I put their social media over, we're ready for this playoff. Let's go to the coin flip.
Playoff.
All right, we are live with the official coin flip. Ipatov has the heads. JJ has the tails. This is a real-life quarter. All right, are we ready? And the winner is tails. The devastation. Oh. So congratulations to the winner, JJ. He'll be getting interviewed back in the studio momentarily. Well earned.
Josh, there are times in chess and in sport when you witness a great match, and then there's an amazing climax. And at the end of that, you say, these two sportsmen really gave it hell. They gave it their all. And this was not one of those times.
I disagree with you, Ben. I think that they kind of held it together during that coin toss. They didn't falter. They waited for Mike to call the coin. It looked like Mike flipped it around. I wasn't even sure he knew what he was doing. And he still was able to call the coin toss, and they were able to just sit there, let the coin toss be decided.
Well,
I mean, that takes guts.
We know now that Grandmaster JJ Ali Marandi is the champion of GM Showdown. after that unique playoff. And Danny, did I hear right? We're going to have him in here in Studio B. Is that right?
You mean the guy standing right there?
Yeah. Okay. We'll be right back with our champion of the match, JJ Ali Marandi. But in the meantime, Dennis, take it away.
Hey, thanks, guys. This is some exciting chess. Wow, I am just a happy camper. All this chess, I don't know what to do. I am beside myself. Anyway, I want to talk to you guys about a very interesting position. Take a look at this. What a doozy. Oh, my goodness. How does White proceed here? Is he winning? Is he losing? Drawing? Nobody knows. Unless he finds the amazing move, Rook, to whatever square that is. Now, the casual observer may say, didn't you just hang your rook on h6? And I'll tell him, take it. And then I'll say, checkmate! Back to you guys in the studio.
Or the blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the blues their name. At the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the blues, or the blues, come play with us. Hey, you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
Welcome back, everyone. We're joined by JJ, who won that intense coin flip. I hope you guys managed to survive it, didn't have to get drunk, didn't have to do anything crazy to survive the drama of that coin flip. How does it feel to win a match?
It feels good. Honestly, it's the first time, I think, not the first time, but luck is deciding my games, and someone else deciding it for me. I think that was also interesting. But yeah, I mean, the format's actually intense when you go when the clock starts ticking. Yeah. It gets very annoying. But other than that, I think it's very interesting. It was my official first time playing, although we did train today.
First time playing this time control is what you're saying. Yeah.
But
the time control to me seemed very strange. I was wondering kind of what you thought. Was it a fun time control? Did you think it was stressful? Like, what was, how would you define it?
If you play the game correctly, and if you actually pick the right moves in the first 10 seconds, you can actually play 20, 30 minutes long games, it felt like. But our chess was nowhere near perfect because we were more playing here and there, a little bit more entertainment.
Kind of wrestling around, yeah.
Yeah, but...
well, we definitely noticed that he played the hippo. He really played very aggressively, and it seemed like in the second game it worked out well for him. And in the third game, he played more or less normally, and that worked out well. But in the first and last games, it seemed like it worked more in your favor, particularly in the last game where he just got a dead position right away.
Yeah, in the last one, he played the second move, G5. I think that was a little accelerated hippo. But I understand he won 2 games, and he wanted to just get me out of book rather than play something theoretical.
You mean you didn't have G5 prepared in your database? I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
I know he likes to play G5 whenever he can. That's why I played G4. I stopped him from playing G5, but
wow,
he still got.
So he just wanted to play it anyway. Yeah. Should have played H4 after E6.
Or maybe Knight F3. Maybe Knight F3.
Yeah, you could have made him play something really silly. Did you have a particularly favorite move in the games or favorite moment where you thought you made a nice decision? Do you have any moments where you thought that they were just really interesting? What was your favorite?
The first game I think is basically when we both couldn't get adjusted to the time control plus the positions and nothing. We tried to play a little bit more like a normal.
Yeah.
And also entertaining, trying to do a little bit of everything. But then I realized this exchange sacrifice is actually very good.
Yeah.
For him, it felt very uncomfortable when you have an exchange with the open files, but my rooks were blocked behind my pawns.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I thought that the exchange sack was at least safe for him. It felt like he was doing fine. But I thought that this was a key moment, like after you took on f6, he had a moment he could have, so you can see it there on the board. I thought that he would try e4 to keep your king out.
Absolutely. I think he underestimated the power of the king entering in and the potential of the c8 rook actually.
I'm actually very curious what your plan is after e4, because it seems like it's difficult to play a move in some ways.
Yeah, I was kind of like also a little nervous maybe in the time control, because like you have 10 seconds delay, but once that 10 seconds goes down and you see the clock ticking, that's very annoying, I find it. Even in my regular games, when I see the clock ticking, I find it annoying. Yeah, especially you know that there is like less than a minute for sure. Yeah, 'cause that's what you start with. Yeah, it's very nervous when the time goes down. I did not really think that deep, as you can tell probably, because we're given 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have that much time. I was saying that one of the things about these positions is that sometimes the objective value of the position probably doesn't matter as much as like how quickly can you play the moves. And this endgame I thought was quite tricky, but I definitely thought like I would have probably played e4 without thinking. I don't want the king in.
No, yeah, maybe it's just.
But even here, maybe he didn't want to allow. Maybe he didn't like rook d7, and then you kind of have issues with the bishop. But even there, rook d4, it feels like he's not really risking much.
Yeah. I mean, maybe the objective result is draw. Yeah. But again, that's the objective result. But again, we don't know how long the games can last. No one's checking the number of moves really. Yeah. We're just playing casually, and it can go down to anything. I think I had like 10, 15 seconds here, and he had like 4. Yeah. Again, we have the delay, but it's not something you really anticipate.
Yeah, I mean, my general feeling in an endgame like this also is like it's easy for things to go wrong, and I really liked how you got your king into play. I thought this was really nice. And then here, what was really funny is, so I saw this rook takes d4 idea, but I thought he needed to take a pawn for it to work, because then you just queen your pawn. But then I realized that you don't actually have to queen your pawn. You just sack the exchange and you win because your king is so strong. So. I thought this was really nice that you kind of, because you had a tough endgame to play, but you organized your pieces really well.
Yeah, and the thing is, he can never play like rook c6 after any rook takes d4, because I promote on the c file, and he also promotes on the c file.
Yeah, I mentioned that, but just to show you guys what I mean. Yeah, after c3, rook c6 looks like it solves the problem very cleverly, but the problem is after takes c2.
Yeah, we queen at the same time, but we queen on the same file.
Yeah, and you do queen first, right?
Yeah, I can even promote to a rook if I feel like.
Yeah.
If he would hide the queen.
So, promoting to a rook, alternative winning variation. Yes. So yeah, I thought this was good. I thought game 2, the knight h2, f3 castles queenside thing was a bit much, and that got you into some trouble.
I missed the move b5. I actually overestimated my position, and that can go very well down. Like, that's what happened. Like, the moment he actually got play, I didn't know what to do. I did have interesting play after I sacrificed the bishop, but I don't think it was anywhere near sufficient.
Maybe. I mean, I thought that he actually, like, after he sacked the bishop, I thought that he could have played simpler. Like, he tried to be very fancy.
Yeah, because honestly, I wanted to take on d8 in game 2 after he played knight to d5, as far as I remember.
Yeah, so here I already thought it was really bad.
And I realized after knight take...
I thought he might play knight c6 also.
Anything wins, probably.
Because, like, if you ever take, then bishop h6
I missed bishop
really
h6 check
Easy to miss,
in either line, so... I was going to take on d8 pretty much very quickly, but then I figured the knight on d5 is loose, so I went back. Yeah. But I think this is the game I actually completely lost the control of my clock. And I sacked the queen, which I
actually thought the queen sack made sense. Like, I thought that he should know. I thought he was actually going to play knight f4 on you.
Yeah.
And then it looks really bad.
I missed knight f6, knight e4, but honestly, I had 2 seconds, I think, at that point where I just didn't have...
When you have no time, it's really hard to play.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you have the 10 seconds delay, but it wasn't that easy, I think.
Yeah, overall. So, but again, like, it was really fun to follow, and I thought that there were periods of the game where you guys were definitely... You know, you were playing, you had no time, but you guys were actually playing, like, pretty decent moves. And then there were times where you just had trouble playing well. One of you just had a position that was too difficult.
Game 3, I collapsed because I had 5 seconds, which is a good amount of time. But then I played bishop f6 a little bit when I was a little, let's say, nervous. When you should never do that in such positions. Trade off the bishop pair.
Oh, in the endgame?
Yeah, that was very, very
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the thing is, though, I thought he could force the bishop trade anyway, like
Really?
bishop c5 to d4 or something
Okay.
would probably be
And
good.
here I missed that if I take on e3, it just takes back.
That's also not ideal.
But again, it still turned out not so easy because of my b pawn being a little dangerous. But he found
Yeah.
this move, knight a4 takes on b2, simplifying to an endgame. Might not be winning, but
Yeah, my impression was that it was, but it wasn't easy.
especially after the bishops came off, it's very easy to play with white because he puts everything on dark squares. I cannot attack anything.
And he can usually sack on b3 as well and
That's
just
what
win that
happened,
endgame. He went took his time, but like it's gonna beat you.
I
at
mean,
some
he was
point.
just playing here and there. If I hang the bishop, it will be easier for him rather than taking the pawn. And
I suppose that's true.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts on the match or what you liked about it, what you didn't like?
Yeah, intense chess is actually very intense. I mean,
It's
honestly,
well named.
before coming here, I thought the games can last 20, 30 minutes, but once you actually start playing, it's not as like easy. I mean, of course it's not easy. You're still playing chess at the end of the day, but the time can actually fly away once you let that 10 seconds go.
Yeah.
And my advice to next players is not to let that 10 seconds as much as they can. 'cause
So
then
really
you get
try to hold your
nervous.
time high and then keep it play at a
Yeah.
nice rate and then don't
Yeah.
let your time get too low.
I
Makes
try
sense.
not to blunder, obviously, but it's just
Makes sense.
how it is.
All right, man. Well, congratulations on
Thank
your
you. Thank
coin
you,
flip
Raj.
win, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So
Yeah, I'll take my
It was
wins.
pretty cool.
I
All right.
like it.
All right. So we're gonna switch to a commercial break, but don't go away.
Hey, thanks, guys. Things are getting really intense up there. I'm here to help offer some insight just into chess in general. Now, many new to chess or even experienced club players are of the opinion that white is slightly better in the starting position. Stockfish and many other engines give us an evaluation of white being up 0.2, roughly the value of a quarter of one of these guys. To them, all I have to say is take a look at this line. Where's your advantage now, White? Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, well, that'll do it. Oh, there it is. Hey, how's it going, Earpiece? Well, we've had one heck of a day. This has certainly been an experience here with Intense Chess and the GM Showdown.
It's been fun.
Has your opinion of the time control changed since we started? I know you were like, what is this when we started? But now you're the biggest fan of Intense Chess, right?
No. I thought that the games were entertaining, the players were fun, that's important. And it definitely had its moments. I would not want to play this time control. I think that it seems like it's a very awkward time control to play when you're used to other kind of things. But at the same time, I like that we're throwing different things out there. Seeing how players who are this strong adapt to it is kind of interesting. I'm not a fan of the time control, but I can't say I didn't enjoy the match.
Yeah, it was a fun match.
For sure.
I would prefer to have called it a tie myself, but that's not the way that it crumbled. JJ Ali Marandi is the champion. Well, 2019 has been one heck of a year here at the St. Louis Chess Club, and we're wrapping it up for this big year, the last one of the decade, the last full decade that the Chess Club has been in business. And we've had the first full decade. Did I say the last? The first? I don't know what I said. Anyway, the first full decade that the Chess Club's
Been a decade,
in business.
guys.
It has. It's been over 11 years now, and 2019 was the busiest year. 2020 is going to be more workable. The Grand Chess Tour has just been announced. We have the 5 different legs on the tour. They're announced. And actually, the first big broadcast of 2020 has just been announced for the St. Louis Chess Club. It's the Cairns Cup.
Cairns Cup,
The
yeah.
second annual Cairns Cup, and it will begin on Friday, February the 7th. 10 of the best women players in the world will be right here in St. Louis for a 9-day round robin. And the Dream Team will be here in Studio A. We may have alternate language for you in Studio B, but regardless, it's going to be a really fun time.
Oh, for sure. I worked as a journalist for that event last year, and the games, and I naturally followed the games as I was doing online stuff, working the Twitter account and stuff like that, and they were fun. Their games were so fun in that tournament. And the players, it's a pretty big prize fund. The players are super into it. You get really interesting stuff, so I would definitely recommend tuning into that one.
Executive Director of the Chess Club, Tony Rich and friends are finalizing the roster, and that will be made available to everybody next month. So stick around to uschesschamps.com. our YouTube channel, of course, and on Facebook, St. Louis Chess Club. I think that'll do it here for us in this session and for us in 2019. So let's give us some shout-outs. What do you say, Josh? World's Greatest Production B Team presenting this event. We have co-promoter, an organizer, technical director, Danny Machuca in the control room along with Isaac Schrantz on graphics and audio. I have to give Tony Chen a big shout out for manning the cameras and some mic work and just anything we needed done, he did. Thank you, Tony. And Mike Kummer, of course. We couldn't do it without the world's greatest tournament director.
We for sure couldn't do it without Mike Kummer. And I have to say, the guys behind the scenes making us sound good, making sure we come in well. And at least in my case, that is not an easy task. So
Right.
I have to hand it to them. They did a great job. And of course, without Mike Kummer, why are we even having this event? Seriously. So
You may also notice that the players were not playing on a DGT board. They're not those digital boards that relay the moves automatically. They were playing on a regular, nice wooden table. That's because we had Nick Risco here at the Chess Club relaying the moves to us so we could look at them on leechess.org. So did I hit everybody? I think I did. Okay, well that'll do it. So
thanks to the players.
of course, the players for agreeing. I'm 90% certain they agreed to be here today.
It's unclear. They definitely did agree to an arm wrestling competition. They agreed to come here and play a few games. And considering they're on vacation right now, that was a pretty nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So gotta hand it to both JJ and Alex. That was pretty cool that they came down.
And good hopes to them for the Pan Am's coming up, December 26th
representing
to the 30th
SLU
in Charlotte Chess Center. So I'm sure they'll be giving it their all for that event. So this has been a production, like I said, of the world's greatest production B team. He's Grandmaster Josh Friedel. My name is Ben Simon. Until 2020, or maybe we'll come up with something else and do something on New Year's. I don't know. We say so long from the Show Me State.